Be silent.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation.
The Exorcist, a film released on December 23rd, 1973, was a hugely influential horror movie and was deemed at the time to be the scariest movie ever made. However, you may be wondering why we're talking about it here, why you're listening to a bit from it. Well, that's because this film had a big impact on Mr. Lordi, and most evidently on today's album, 2018's Sexorcism. You're listening to Season 3 of Monsters of Rock, The Lordi Story, a true metal podcast production. I'm your host, Matthew Kessie, and this is Episode 2, Sexorcism. Following on from Monstereophonic, Sexorcism as an album evolves Lordi's music one step further. It's an album which refers strongly to Mr. Lordi's horror influences, but also to the first released Lordi album, Get Heavy. Sexorcism offers a thematic approach to songs, all which are based explicitly around horror and sex. And in order for us to fully delve into this, we need to look at the title track and the Latin chanting at the beginning of it, along with the mid-album SCG track, The Documented Phenomena, all with Father Ruiz.
Me, Mr. Lordi, and Tracy, we're trying to come up with ideas. And the first idea was to actually, in Latin, do the full spoken speech that you would do for an exorcism, and do it straight down the way that it's actually said. Because if you listen to the beginning of Sexorcism, you hear me in the background speaking, Dominus Ominous, blah, 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 la, 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 very low in the background.
Nice, okay.
But at that time, we were also like, you know something? Let's have some fun with this. So we started trying to figure out sayings. So we're Googling, one of the things that I don't know if I think it got in there. Is like, okay. I was like, I like to tie my dick in a knot or a pretzel, some shit like that. I'm like, let's see if there's a Latin
way of saying that.
Saying for that, yeah. Right? Or I like to finger paint with doo-doo. Dumb shit like that.
Yeah.
I like to stand in my room naked. So we were seeing if there was anything in Latin. So I'm going Dominus, blah blah blah, and it's basically me saying, yeah, I like to finger paint with doo-doo, stuff like that. That's the whole deal there.
Right.
And then with the documented one, of course, that we get into a little more detail, and this is the character Father Ruiz. So, and then the cool thing about it is the date is actually, Mr. Lordi's birthday. And it was me and Hella in the studio doing the voices. You'll hear the laugh. She starts to laugh, and then it transitions into a male demonic laugh, and that was me. So we took both of our laughs, made it into one, and a lot of the backwards messages, same thing. We're saying stupid shit. Like there's a saying in Finnish, spoonful of slippery, which basically means, like diarrhea.
Right.
Some shit like that. So I think she's saying that, and then we just put it backwards, and then I'm saying something like, I wish Kiss would play Escape from the Island live, which is off the Elder album, which they never play.
Yeah.
And Escape from the Island is an instrumental on there. So another, dumb thing that we said.
While the thematic approach of this album is based around horror, sex, and gothic themes, musically speaking, Sexorcism is probably the most Lordi sounding album there is. Some of our long-time listeners might have heard the first ever interview I did as part of True Metal Podcast, and that, of course, was with Mr. Lordi in 2018 as part of the Sexorcism press cycle. Nervously, as I'm sure most of you would be in that situation, I asked him about the musical direction of this record.
Yeah, because I was wondering, because even with Your Tongue's Got the Cat, when that sounds so much like Get Heavy. Like, it's got that, and because I remember listening to it and going, well, this doesn't sound that much different, so why is it controversial?
Yeah, but then again, I mean, of course, that particular song is the softest one on the album.
Yeah,
and exactly. It is the most Get Heavy-ish, or the most. It is one of those songs on the album that sounds more like it could be on the first 3 albums or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was one of my goals when I was writing the stuff, that I wanted to somehow bring back the balls.
Yeah.
I mean, I somehow bring back the melodies and the harmonies from the first 3 or even 4 first albums. Kind of. I mean. To me, as a writer of most of the stuff, as you know, I mean, it is always the same. I don't hear the difference that much while you're writing a new album, writing new material. You don't really hear that this is somehow different. But then this time I actually really put my mind to it and it's like, okay, what? I did not listen to Get Heavy or Monster and Cream or the Oracalypse before I started writing. I did not, but I just was thinking about it. What kind of stuff did I do then? And surprisingly, it is the same chords, it's the same scales, But still, I think it has more to do with the production and that when you're writing, you already know that this needs to have this much backing vocals. This has to have this kind of keyboard chords on that particular octave, and so on and so on. So it's more like arrangement and production choices that they are.
Now, that's all you'll hear from the first interview that I did with Mr. Lordi, and we'll switch back to more recent interviews now. The funny thing about that interview, actually before I do move on, was that it was done over the phone in my car on my way home from work. I pulled in, and as I pulled in, I parked it up, and then as you can hear, I did the interview. And then literally the minute I got off the phone, and I mean literally the minute I got off the phone, I hung up, started my car, ready to drive home, and then the car just broke down. Lights on the dashboard, I started shuddering and everything. So you can imagine my frustration after having done the interview and then realizing, oh wait, I have no way to get home. So fun times, I'm sure you'll agree. Anyway, switching back to Sexorcism and Your Tongue's Got the Cat, the first single of the Sexorcism era, which was released on the 13th of April 2018, was a track which was influenced strongly by a saddening event in Mr. Lordi's life.
Your Tongue's Got the Cat,
yes,
which is actually about it is a metaphor, because right now, of course, it has a horror story of this guy looking at the girl who's possessed and whatever, Yeah. But actually, it is about me seeing my dad, falling into dementia, for years and years and years. So actually, it's a dementia song, So all those feelings that are in the lyrics there are actually real. They are, from my real life.
Okay.
depending on the song, that because with Tracy, I always tell him, and he already, I don't have to tell him anymore, but I mean, I used to tell him, and sometimes I always remind him when we sit together and start writing the lyrics, that we have to try to find the two levels of things. We can say something that I want to say, like that matters to me, that I want to get this out of my system, I want to say this out loud, but then there has to be another level, which is the horror level, or it could be a sex level, or it could be just raise your fist and let's rock, level. Yeah. It has to work on at least two of these levels. Most of the time, it only works on one level. If it's a horror song, it's a horror song. That's it. It's a horror story. That nothing more. But there are songs that actually have these two sides of the coin on a lyric. Okay. And most of the times, those are actually all these sexual things. Like, well, rock the hell out of you. I mean, you changed 2 fucking letters from that, what it is about. It's not a horror song. It's not a rock song.
Yeah.
Rock the hell out of you it's not about rocking the hell out of you.
Yeah.
And so on and so on. And Bringing Back the Balls to Rock is a song that is definitely about that. It's about me wanting to bring the balls back to rock. That is exactly what it is, Yeah. So it's just like come on, let's quit. Let's drop this technical virtuoso bullshit and all this fucking thing. Let's just fucking rock,
Yeah.
So.
Your Tongue's Got the Cat isn't the only song on this record which is influenced by this particular moment in Mr. Lordi's life, as the track Haunting Season also features church bells, which are actual recordings from his own father's funeral. That particular song contains a strong soundscape as well to introduce it, along with the track Hell Has Room. Creating soundscapes of this ilk is something Mr. Lordi loves to do.
I love doing that. Whenever you hear those little intros on the song, so you hear those things happening during the song, these soundscapes and shit.
Yeah.
That's just me. I want to think about it. You're watching a movie, but you just closed your eyes, or there was something wrong with the projector, and you don't see it. So that's what I. And that's why there are the SCGs too, because I love those little sound bites and these little soundscapes and these little stories that have nothing to do with the music per se. It's a lot of work, but I love it. I've noticed that most of the times the engineers or the producers, they are like, oh really, we're gonna do this, something like that, but in the end, they find it refreshing to do too. They're like, oh, this was nice, this is awesome, and they get into that too. Like, hey, yeah, let's do this, let's do that. Because it's something that, I mean, let's face it, not that many bands do that. No. We do.
Yeah, exactly.
And not that many bands do that, and we love doing it, and I especially love doing those. And it is a bit more work, but what the hell? Why not? I mean, like if you mentioned the Haunting Season, there in the end, I think we have the church bells.
Yeah.
Yeah, and which is actually, and it's a personal thing for me. I mean, because it is something that I recorded at the Rovaniemi churchyard in my car, sitting with my mom, and those were my father's funeral bells.
Okay.
And I recorded, and then I decided to use them on the album because it's pretty cool, I have those, and for me it's a personal little funny thing that it's actually my father's funeral bells ringing there.
Yeah.
So, and then some people say, oh, that is grotesque, to have your father's, bells. No, it's not. My father would say, puh. He would say that. That would be his comment, like, puh, and shaking his head like, whatever, because, but for me, it is cool that my father's, funeral bells are now part of musical history. They are documented, and they're there. and it will never go away, and it will be heard by thousands of people. So for me, it has a bigger meaning to have those there, and I don't find it grotesque. I don't, it's just cool for me, And my mom was like, "Yay, that's so nice, that's so cool, that's yay," So
it's an homage, or
exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, a church bell is a church bell is a church bell in the end. So it sounds, ominous in a way, and it's something final, and it gives you the idea of someone died or something. Church bells, they have a certain ring to them.
Of course, yeah.
Pun intended. Yeah. So the chime have a little, there's a horror thing already attached to those,
Yeah.
So and I mean let's remember the first album, the first song, I mean, Get Heavy. I mean, even before Get Heavy, there's the first Coptic Circle Gathering. I think that starts with church bells too.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. And so, well, now we're talking about church bells that had actually nothing to do with your question, but but anyway, but those little sound things, what did Hell Has Room have? Oh yeah, it had those dying fucking people there in hell. Yeah. And I remember that these were, if I remember correctly, that is Hella, myself, maybe Dylan Broda, maybe Ralph. Well, anybody can check. If you have the physical copy of it, you can check it from the booklet. It's all listed who's shouting there and who's dying there and screaming in agony. But yeah, these are fun things to do. And I like on Sexorcism, there's like a lot of Hella, doing all these weird,
voice thingies,
demonic voices, and there's all these moans. That's all Hella. I mean, she's so fucking good at those fucking voice, plays and theater thing.
Yeah.
She's fucking awesome in that. She's doing all this. Whenever we need a female voice, I mean, we know that, okay, Hella can do at least like 5 or 6 different female voices. So, yeah, she's our choice. And she can do very good, like, demon whispers and all that shit. And of course, we tweak them a little bit at the mixing table with effects and all that shit. But basically, it's all her. And me personally, I haven't been. I actually have to think that am I actually audible in any of those SCGs? Oh yeah, that is actually not an SCG. But remember the song called 13 on Get Heavy.
Yeah.
When there's this crematory thing when somebody's burned alive. So you hear this somebody banging on the coffin, inside the coffin. That's me.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, but I think like after that, I don't think I've been on any of those. I've been just like on the other side of the microphone, just conducting the thing, pretty much.
The other heavily soundscape track, Hell Has Room, was musically created by Eamon and Mr. Lordi. Eamon discusses here how the track intro was changed and developed initially. How did you come up with the riff for that track? Was it something that you had for a long time?
Oh, it was just for this album.
Right, yeah. Okay.
And the beginning, Mr. Lordi, I think the first version of it was like a really short one. That there wasn't this din 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 din. It wasn't that long time.
Yeah.
And Mr. Lordi just extended that. And I was thinking that maybe it's good for like this. And I'm like, yeah, cool. I don't know who, well, Mr. Lordi wrote the songs, but the band was heavily involved in every song, and it wouldn't be like that if we were silent guys,
Yeah.
So.
Sexorcism was produced at Finvox Studios by Mikko Karmela, who previously produced Scareforce 1. The album was then released on the 25th of May 2018, and publicised and advertised by AFM Records as Lordi's most controversial album yet. And every song was marked as E for explicit, which in the grand scheme of things made little sense, as the album's content and lyrics is not too dissimilar to their previous outings. This is something that Mr. Lordi didn't get either.
Whatever the labels do, they have to follow their own restrictions and rules and their labels. I mean, their categories and stuff. So they have to do what they have to do, you know. Yeah. So I was surprised that this was all of a sudden very, considered to be very explicit from their side. Maybe it was a marketing tactic from their side, and I don't even remember anymore that what was the whole. But I remember that there was this hullabalooza about it, and I didn't like the press release of the album because it was like, come on. But I remember that there was something that I didn't like there, but
Well, I think most of it was just every song, say for, if you look it up on any of the platforming, I guess, like Spotify or stuff like that, every song is marked E.
Those things that I'm not on, and I've never checked those, so I will not, and I but anyway, okay.
Yeah, so they all have the little E beside it saying explicit, even though a lot of them don't really have swear words or curse words or anything like that in it. And then I remember when I got my copy of the album, on the front of it, on the little sticker thing, it said 18s. And I've never got an album that was 18s marked before. Because I think, like most people, like, well, sir, there's no ratings on music or anything like that. But I remember getting a little 18 sticker on that. And then also, with the whole press release thingy, that was all saying it's extreme, it's explicit, it's the most unfiltered or untamed Lordi has been ever. That's how it was marketed as. And so,
well, that is yet to be done. I mean, I can tell you that if I would be completely unfiltered, and especially if I would unleash the Mr. Dirty Pen Tracy Lip, I mean, that would be unfiltered. That would be like really like. That would be explicit, but in my world, Sexorcism is not. It's just a good old real. It's a bit of a romance here and there. It's not explicit in my book at all. But there it is. I mean, because sometimes I mean, you just do what you do. And you do what makes you smile and what makes your head nod and your feet tap. You do like that, and whatever comes out naturally, and then when you hand out the package, here's what we did, to go and sell it. So then it's up to those people then what they want to do it and how they see it's the best way, how they see fit, Yes. That's basically how it is. Of course, it's not that black and white because they will ask and I will comment and like that. But there are these certain territories that I have no say over because it's a label, it's a record business, thing.
The controversy, I guess, didn't really stop there though with Sexorcism, as the sexualized tone of the album split the fans in half in terms of their reaction. Given that the sexual lyrics and innuendos were more upfront, that might have been the cause for that split in opinion, but still to this day it is something which Mr. Lordi still boggles his mind about.
I was surprised and I was shocked. I was like, really? And now I'm only talking about the lyrics. Yeah. Okay, so for me, it was a huge fucking shock to hear that we have, to realize that we have so many closed-minded, people sexually within the Lordi fandom. And I was like, what? So have you been digging the same band at all? I mean, do you not understand that many of the songs on the previous albums are nothing different from this lyric-wise? It's just, sure. I mean, okay, Sexorcism is a little bit, lyrical-wise, it is a little bit more Gene Simmonish kind of thing. That is, so the things are said bluntly and just like, bleh. Yeah, it's just there. There's no figure of speech. It is what it is, Yeah. And I was, because I mean, it's not really that hard. It's really not that much. It's come on. It's kind of lame still. Yeah. Really, in my book. But then again, I mean, who am I to say? I mean, yeah. It's just like, for me, Sexorcism is another Lordi album with just a little bit, just a tiny bit. We turned the knob on the sex thingy to the right, just a little bit more volume to that on the lyrical side, just a little bit, not that much. But the reaction was, I didn't see that coming. I was like, what the fuck? So, I mean, come the fuck on. I actually got a little bit angry about the reaction.
Nice.
But why did you do that? Why all of a sudden you're trying to be? Why are you adding all this sex and these porn things there? Like, what do you mean all of a sudden we're adding this? It has always been part of this fucking band. What the fuck, you know?
Yeah.
And I know I said to you this already, but I have to repeat myself again, which I do a lot. I know. But it was like, would you love a monster, man? The first fucking single of this band. When there's the line, I would do it all for you, would you do it all for me? It's not a romantic line. It means that, can I fuck you in all of your holes? That's what it is.
Yeah.
And would you take a dildo and shove it up my ass or whatever? That's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. I hate to break this to you, but that's what it is about. That's what Would You Love a Monster Man is.
Yeah.
It's not a romantic Beauty and the Beast song. No, it's about fucking. There you go. Fire at will. Yeah, I would. It's all about fucking, but you just have to understand the context of it. I mean, it's a sexual song. It's not a Beauty and the Beast romantic fucking. Oh, it's not like, well, for me, porn is but. You know, so coming back to Sexorcism, you know, all these little things. I mean, for me, they're natural and they're fun. They're funny, and I really thought that most of the Lordi fans would appreciate it and would understand it and would have fun with it. And I think a lot of Lordi fans did, and they did understand the context and kept things in perspective. But I was like I said, I was shocked to realize that how many people have very closed minds in the Lordi fandom, that they would not accept this from us. And I was like, what is there not to accept? I mean, it is your own fault if you didn't understand what we were about. I mean, this is your fault, not us.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, come on. And if the album is called Sexorcism, and I had the concept and I had the idea already before I started writing the songs, so I already knew what kind of an album it's going to be like, you know. Yeah. So, and I have to say that we did leave out the most greasiest and dirtiest lines. We didn't put there, even though Tracy wanted us to put a lot of dirtier and greasier lines there, but we didn't, you know. Yes. So, okay. You know, but then again, I mean, I don't think that many people were shocked with Hug You Hardcore on the previous one, which is about, and once again, it's about anal fisting. The song is about ass fisting. You know, so after that, there's nothing as hardcore on Sexorcism. There's nothing like, so that's why also it was like, because it's into, or maybe the reaction of Hug You Hardcore, I just didn't, it just like went by me that I didn't see it, or it didn't catch me, you know, somehow. But I thought that, okay, so you were okay with Hug You Hardcore, but now Sexorcism with I put my fingers inside you, you know, lure the beast and make her come or whatever. Yeah. You know, that was too much. What the fuck? You know, Reamskin assassin and domesticated animal. I mean, yeah, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of anal sex there, I know. But it's like, come on. It's nothing new in the Lordi world.
When a guy looking like this tells you that you want to get naked, the correct answer is no, sir, no. Thank you, no. Anywho, you fucking perverts, you wanna get naked? Was? Ja? Ja? Fuck yeah? So let's get naked in my cellar. Hella get naked. Man, I get naked.
Following the release of Sexorcism, LORDI of course went on their tour cycle across Europe and also performing at summer festivals. However, their stage show this time included one of their most elaborate set pieces to date, the possession and levitation of Jess Psycho, LORDI's co-prop designer, as the possessed woman. That last tour on the Sexorcism tour, you played the woman at the start being sexorcised, and
Sexor chick.
Yeah, Sexor chick, and then you also play like the priest character, nun character, and that sort of thing. Now, obviously, when you're going in between and getting changed, and say obviously you have the Sexor chick at the start, and then after that, I think it was the priest or something that came after that. I'm guessing that's a bit of a fucking rush, trying to go back and get changed and get everything ready for the next part.
Yeah, I think the most hassle was with the Sexor chick. Like it was on an intro. The Sexor chick was on an intro. It was okay because I had to cover up my chest tattoo.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, so I painted, like it took like half an hour to 45 minutes to me to do whole makeup for Sexor chick.
Right.
Okay, then we have the different characters on there. There is probably the priest was first, then there is underneath the priest costume I could just rip it off. I had a nun costume.
Okay.
So I could be really fast, ready for the bass solo, because the ox was killing the nun.
Yeah.
After the nun, it's straight away to the next song where is the Sexor chick, which had the levitation thing.
Yeah.
My friend was my prop assistant was like fixing the levitation thing ready for the song, and then after I came from the stage after Ox has killed me, I take the nun costume off, I have the Sexor chick costume underneath it, and then I start repainting my chest and neck, and we have one song in the time to do it. Yeah, and then I go sit on a chair, and then we push me there, and we do the Sexor chick thingy, and I levitate there and stuff, and after that it gets easier.
That sounds incredibly hectic. And with the levitation the levitation part of that particular song, how does that work?
Well, it was pretty fun to do because I was like, I don't know, I weighed like 90 kilos then.
Right.
And I was literally lifted with a chair, like almost in 2 meters. So we had like 3 meters, like steel bar with strengthening things and self-made heavy-duty metal tripod.
Right.
And there was props assistant. He was like throwing weights to another end of the pole with the ladders, and he was lifting me up with this huge pole. So yeah.
Right. Oh my god. In the Sexorcism and Monstereophonic eras, we can truly see LORDI's music evolve further than ever before, while also still maintaining all the identity and character of the band. But the next album would see LORDI's style and evolution take a giant leap into a new realm. Join me next time as we discuss Collection, the departure of Ox from the band, bringing about the end of LORDI's longest lasting lineup, and also the introduction of the rep troll Hisi.
Monsters of Rock, the LORDI story, is a true metal podcast production. The show is presented, produced and written by Matthew Kessie. Head to True Metal Pod's social channels to keep up to date with the production.